How's it going, my beautiful people? Welcome to Inside the Black Actors Studio. I'm your host, Danny Royce. Today, we have an incredible actor joining us, Omari Washington. So don't move a muscle. Our guest today has come from a very difficult background, but he didn't let that stop him as he excelled here in Los Angeles, pursuing his acting career. He's not just an actor, he's a director, producer, and writer. You've seen him on Lethal Weapon, The Bold and the Beautiful, Pink Collar Crimes, Assassin's Game, Bunny Vengeance, and All American. The Black Actors Studio is very proud to welcome Omari Washington. How we doing?
Hey, I'm great, and I'm blessed by the best. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
This is an honor.
Thank you for joining. This is incredible show for me because I definitely just wanted to highlight people of color in the entertainment industry, and you're definitely one of those people that I would love to highlight. So thank you for coming here. So let's get straight into it, starting at the beginning, as always. Where were you born?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois on July 14th, 1987.
Specifics.
Yep.
Social security number and all that? No, just kidding.
No, I won't be doing that.
All right. Now, your father's profession, what did he do?
He's a car salesman.
Okay.
Yes.
And how was that growing in a car salesman?
It's a bit rough for him every now and then. We try to keep a relationship where we communicate a lot, but, you know, life gets in the way sometimes.
For
but
sure.
for the most part, his business is going well at the moment.
Okay. And what about your mother's? What was your mother's maiden name?
My mother's maiden name was Aletha Heron.
Wow. And what is that? What is that background?
She's an African-American woman. She was born in Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Heron. It reminds me of Charlize Theron.
Oh.
Could be a relation there. No. Did you have any nicknames growing up?
Oh, I went by O.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's O.
Yeah.
There's O. And who started that nickname for you?
Friends in school, and then it kind of grew into something bigger after I went to high school, and now I'm Big O, Little O, O for show.
Oh, for sure. And so you have some brothers, right, that mean a lot to you. And talk about your relationship with your siblings.
Oh, my relationship with my brothers is very tight-knit. We support each other in our endeavors and our dreams because growing up, we didn't have that support from our parents.
Right.
So we make sure that we communicate effectively and we stay close because in life, you know, you have other challenges outside of your circle.
Right, of course.
First, it starts with the family circle, and then you have the exterior circles outside of that. So
Yeah.
I feel like that brotherly love is especially important, especially in the industry we're in.
Right. And how many brothers do you have?
I have 5 brothers.
5 brothers.
Yes.
All right. Wow, that's a lot. A lot of testosterone to
Yeah.
share.
Out the 5 brothers, one is lost. I'm actually in the process of finding him.
Really?
Yeah, his name's Raisaki Heron,
Okay.
and I have not seen him since I was about 5 years old.
So tell us a little bit about that. You said he's lost. What do you mean by that?
I mean that he was in a DCFS system.
Okay.
And when my mom passed away, his father's side of the family got custody of him.
Gotcha.
And they have stopped communication with my mom's side of the family, and it's a hot mess at the moment. And I've hit up Oprah. I've hit up a lot of outlets, social media outlets, to try to find him, and nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's definitely interesting. And so growing up for you, right, there was a lot of turmoil in the house. You had a difficult upbringing from your dad and your stepmother, correct?
For
so
sure.
Tell us a little bit more about that, and obviously we'll see how that played a role in your craft today.
Woo, the hot seat. Here we go.
You ain't thought I was playing around, did you now?
When you see me start sweating.
Right, I'm been sweating. I'm hot feeling. Go ahead.
That was a bit challenging. I lost my mom when I was about 6 years old. And I was too young to comprehend what was going on. My father went to Nigeria to find another wife, like a little bit after my mom passed away, which was kind of weird to me, but I didn't understand at the time. And in the beginning of my stepmom and I's relationship, it was kosher, it was good. But once she got comfortable, like I started to see her true colors. The hatred really started to come out. And I felt like she was like that way because I wasn't one of her biological children. So I didn't understand the hate. So as I grew older, like the hate grew and the punishment grew. And she had no right putting her hands on me. And a lot of physical abuse and verbal abuse took place, and a lot of belittling. And that has a lot to do with my self-esteem now. Because I have to work extra hard to make sure I'm good mentally, to go on auditions, to go out on red carpet events, to be sociable in these type of settings.
Wow. And so growing up and having that wicked stepmother that, you know, we always talk about, and how was your father, how did he play a role in that relationship between you two?
Because I would try to go to him and tell him what was going on, like, hey, your wife she's being abusive physically. And he would just brush it off. And like after a point, I stopped trying. And that's when the attempted suicide moments in my life took place. When I was about like 10 years old. 10 years old?
Yeah. Oh, that's so young. And so you went to Mather High School, correct?
Yeah,
In Chicago, Illinois. Represent. All right. And that is kind of where you stepped into acting a little bit more, correct? And did you do the Tin Man there?
I did Tin Man in elementary school.
In elementary, okay.
Yeah, in 7th grade.
So talk about Tin Man and how that, how was it for you taking on that role in such an amazing play?
There was a lot of stress involved. It was my first production ever in life, so I was like, man, I just want to get this right, make sure I hit my marks when I'm supposed to while singing and dancing and all that. So it was a new experience, but the acting bug really bit me during that experience. What led me to that audition actually was all the stress that I was going through at home. I was like, man, I need to get away. There's rehearsals after school, so it'd be a great opportunity to just, you know, find another life outside of what I was dealing with. So I auditioned for Wizard of Oz, and ever since then, I never looked back.
Nice. That's awesome. So growing up, what television shows, films, or plays, you know, focusing and highlighting people of color drew you?
The color purple, oddly enough, you know,
Yes.
To relive those moments and make yourself vulnerable to that type of energy that our ancestors had to deal with, it takes a really special human being to embody that, to endure all those emotions from our past.
Right.
And once I seen that, I was like, wow, this is amazing how people can take other people's lives and sculpt the character that they see and allow the performance to be affected by them. And you could tell through acting like who really embodies the characters and who like falls short sometimes. You know?
Right. Nicely put. No. So any of the staple television shows where you were a fan of, like you know, Family Matters, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, all that, anything like that? What was like one of your top favorite shows you just had to be there and watch?
Kenan and Kel.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
That was the one. That was the one. Because they were kids, you know, and I could relate at the time.
Yes. I love Kenan and Kel. I'll admit a little bit. I used to play the theme song of Kenan and Kel getting ready for school every morning when I was younger. It's so interesting. So speaking of that, growing up, like, was there anyone that you really studied and like watched after, you know, in any of the shows or plays or film, anyone that really inspired you?
Denzel Washington, for sure. He was up there as far as inspiration goes. Angela Bassett, Sidney Poitier. Who else? Forrest Whitaker.
Yes.
Yeah, the Black Greats. You know?
The
Black
Greats.
Knights.
Right.
Just watching them perform, it felt like that was them wholeheartedly. It didn't feel like it didn't feel half committed.
Got you.
And it was like, if I felt the magic, I know they felt it on
yeah,
set.
of course.
And people around them, I was like, I want to affect people like that.
Right.
You know?
So who in Color Purple, since it was like something that really impacted you, whose performance in there were you just always remember? I know there was a lot of great performances.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
I stumped them, guys. No.
You did. Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes, I agree.
Like, she was the heart of the show, the whole film, I mean. And without her, it wouldn't be as good as it was, you know?
Right. And just seeing her career then to now, like, it's incredible. Just crazy how far she's come. So you were just recently in Vogue LA magazine with the interview. So talk about that experience for you and what you shared in the magazine.
That experience was scary, to be quite honest, because I was opening up myself to a wide variety of people, and I was opening up with my truths.
Yeah.
And that within itself is a bold move, because people start to view you different, and they know your truths and they know everything about you. So that makes you more vulnerable. Being an actor, you're already vulnerable.
Yes.
And that extra layer of opening up and letting people see the good, the bad, the ugly about me, I feel like I created a bigger and wider fan base for myself by doing that.
For sure.
And it was cool, man. Voyage LA, Sarah from Voyage LA, shout out to her.
Yeah.
She's good people.
Yeah, she is. She is.
I
Very good
appreciate
people.
the connection I have with them.
Yeah, for sure. And so that recently just went up, posted a couple weeks ago, correct?
A couple days ago.
No, a couple days ago. I'm sorry. My bad. A couple days ago. And yeah, so I definitely go check that out. It's Vogue LA magazine. You can see Omari Washington's interview. He opens up with his personal life a little bit and becomes a little vulnerable. And so I mentioned a few of the shows that you were on. And some of the work that you've done. So how was it working with, Vivica A. Fox, and did you work with Taye Diggs and All American? And how was this experience for you on these network shows?
My very first it wasn't my first network experience, but one of my few network premieres, should I say. Working for Lethal Weapon, that was like the door opener for my career.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous before that first take. I was like, I better get this right. I wasn't used to the big production teams and all that.
Right.
Like, I've been on big sets. Well, in my mind, before that moment, I was like, oh, I've been on big sets. This ain't nothing.
Yes.
And once I got there, I was like, wow, this is the big leagues. I gotta,
Gotta step it up.
Yeah. And Clayne Crawford was very open and inviting. His energy was down to earth. He helped me through the scene, gave me little pointers. And man, that experience was mind-blowing, to say the least. I loved every second of it. Meeting Damon was one of my wildest dreams being accomplished at that moment.
Yes.
And I didn't know what to say to him, so I got all nervous. I'm like, man, thank you. Thank you for everything. I was like, he looked at me all weird, like, who's this guy? Hey, whose man is this?
So somebody get this.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm sure that's not the first time he's gotten something like that. You know what I mean? The Wayne brothers, the Wayne's family they go back decades, and they're just a very talented crew. And so auditioning for these roles, is also very, sometimes very intimidating. And so what's your process when you get a script and you work through that and you embody the character and you go on this audition? What's your process for that?
My process, once I get a script, the first question that crosses my mind is, what is this story really about? Or if I don't know the whole story, what is this scene really about? What are they talking about in this scene? The two characters, what relationship do they have with each other? What is the obstacle in the way? what is the main objective of the scene? And what's that moment before that leads you to the present moment that you're dealing with? And memorizing the first and last line and creating a magical moment with those lines.
Right.
Because your first impression is everything, and when you leave, they're either going to remember you or not remember you based on the energy that you left in the room.
Yes.
And my main objective with auditioning was, before, I used to go in the room like, man, I hope they like me. I don't know. I guess they'll like me, whatever. But now I go in there like, I want to book the room.
Yes.
I don't want this job. I just want to leave my hard work in the room. I want to leave an impression on them while I'm walking out.
Right.
You know?
That's great. And you spoke about memorization. Some people are, they're for memorizing lines and they're against memorizing lines because they feel like it takes you away from the actual character. What's your thoughts on memorizing the lines to a T?
I feel like it's important for me in my process, because if I go into an audition with the script in my hand, I'm already distracted because I'm thinking, oh, what if I mess up this one line that I worked so hard on, and I like prepared it at home, like how I was gonna say it, and then they threw a curveball. That's why I don't try to get married to the lines.
Yes.
I try to really live in that moment and that truth, because anything can happen while you're shooting, or they might take a scene that you rehearsed out of the whole film or the TV show, and then you're like, what?
Wait a minute.
Right, I rehearsed so dang on long, so dang on long, and I don't even know. Like, you just got to be adjustable.
Yeah.
You have to accept that process for what it's really worth, and let go and free fall.
Yes. That's that's scary for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
It's very scary. Let's talk about some of your passions and your goals and things like that. And also your production company. Let's dive into that, because I feel like, you're really setting yourself in different areas of your life and really growing. And although they all connect, you're growing in certain areas of your life. So let's talk about, some of your loves, your goals and passions and things like that. First off, with your production company.
My goals for my production company this year is to put out quality work and not so much pump out 10, 15 short films that have no purpose. Not saying that people do that, but sometimes I feel like as actors, we're too focused on the acting. But when you step out of that realm and step into a producer realm, a director realm, you see the bigger picture, and you're not so focused just on that one thing.
Yeah.
As a director, you have to juggle so many different balls, and you have to wear so many different hats.
Yeah.
So it allows you to be more, it opens you up to deal with more at just one moment. And as far as my production company goes, I feel like I'm...
Which is the name of production company?
Living and Loving Life Productions.
Living and Loving Life. Thank you for that. When did you start it?
I started my production company 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
January 1st, 2017.
And you have produced a short film, correct?
I've produced several.
Several short films. Recently,
with my brother John Thomas.
Nice.
A Motor Call, we produced that, and it's doing well in the film festival market. And that's about androids taking over the world.
And Cold Blooded, you had a role in that. You did crew side of things, right?
Cold Blooded, not so much. That was mainly acting.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't produce Cold Blooded, but I was the lead in that one.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And so, what's next for this production company?
I have several short films that I have written, that are ready to take off and be into the pre-production phase of things, and I also have a pilot.
Nice.
Can't tell you what it's about. Just gotta wait and see.
Can we get a name of this pilot at least? No.
When Love Calls.
When Love Calls. That's awesome. So you spoke about earlier about some of the personal demons and challenges that you faced, and has any of this resurfaced or inhibited you from moving forward now in your career?
I can say yes, truthfully. And I have took it upon myself to go to therapy and to deal with those demons. And that was the biggest step for me in changing my mindset, changing how I react to things. I've noticed growing up, there was certain areas in my life that I didn't like, and how I dealt with certain things. Relationships and communication was big for me because growing up, I didn't have that in my life as much as I do now.
Yeah.
And it's a tough adjustment a lot of the times, but I feel like I have the necessary skills and tools to deal with that more in a healthy aspect of things in my process. And communication is one of my key things in life that I hold dear to my heart. And I feel like without healthy communication, how can you have a healthy relationship?
Very true.
And setting boundaries. I've learned to set boundaries now. It's uncomfortable, really uncomfortable, but I feel like when people know what you like and what you don't like right off the bat, then
Exactly.
you know there can be no boundaries crossed.
Right. That's a good point. And so going back to being on, getting in these roles and working on these network shows, what are some things that you do on your own to prepare and some of the things that you do on set to prepare?
On my own, I do my affirmations. I do my affirmations after my pre-audition turn up.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause-
Pre-audition. Wait, hold on. Let's dive into this pre-audition turn up. What goes on?
Okay. I have a whole playlist. It's my audition playlist. And
Nice.
I crank up the music and I really get in my zone. Like, it's game time, baby. So,
Yeah.
you got to get that focus
Yeah.
on. So I crank up my favorite tunes and I just jam out. I have a good time, man. I don't even.
Give us one song on that playlist. One song that you just.
Middle Child by J. Cole.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, and so you do your turn up, and what else do you do on your own?
On my own, I go through my affirmations.
Yeah.
I tell myself, I am the greatest actor. I am good enough to book this role. I'm worthy. I am a king. I am a warrior. If it wasn't for me, I wouldn't even be here right now. I mean, if it wasn't meant for me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have never gotten the audition. I would have never got it. So I look at it in a positive light, like this is for me. So
That's
why
clever.
not? Why not go in there and just free fall?
Right.
Free falling.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? You just don't book it.
Right.
It's not life or death here. So what are some of the things you do on set right before you're about to say, right before the director yells action? What do you prepare?
I really focus on that moment before, because if it's affected right, if it's what's the word I'm looking for? If you do it correctly, it will propel you to your first moment. It'll give you everything you need before that first moment happens, emotionally, mentally, even physically.
Yeah.
You know, the way you walk, the way you're talking. Do you have a cigarette in your hand? Are you on a phone? These specific details will like lift you up, and it will be less work when you get to that first moment. So what I do is I close my eyes, and I do this after my slate in auditions too. Close my eyes, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I am great. Let's get it. And then I'm there.
Do you actually say that in the room? I am great. Let's get it. When
I do.
I just want to make sure. As a casting director, ever just been like, oh, like what's going on?
They
here?
haven't, but sometimes I've been rushed through my process.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, like let me really
Right.
get this out.
Right.
It's your time, you know?
I like that because it's like when you go in the audition room, it's your time. You know, you've been
Yeah.
waiting long enough.
For real.
It's your time just to do what you need to do. So that's great. What about some of the roles that you've had, or are you even creating in your projects that you're producing? What kind of roles are you more drawn to?
Oh, here we go.
Because you did play a psychotic killer
I did.
in Bunny Vengeance, and then also a rapist in Church, right?
Yeah, that was.
So you got some variety there. So what kind of roles do you draw to?
I love the cynical roles. I love the dark roles where you're like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna come out of this after I do it, but I love that challenge because I'm a nice guy. I'm an easygoing, outgoing guy.
Yeah.
And I love to challenge myself. Playing myself is harder than playing the bad guy or playing the villain. I feel like an actor really challenges themselves when they do roles opposite themselves, because it's not really that familiar anymore. And it gets really uncomfortable. Like a month after Bunny Man, I had these weird psychotic thoughts in my head. Like, because it took a while for me to like really prep for that character.
Yeah.
And I had to learn 106 pages of dialogue before the first day of photography. And I got the script about like a week prior to that. So
Wow.
I had to study when I wasn't on set. I had to study in between takes. As an actor, I feel like that was my biggest challenge so far because I had to carry the whole film on my back.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you did well.
Thank you.
So speaking of that memorizing lines and just getting the script and there's such a short notice, Lethal Weapon was kind of like that, correct? As far as the audition process, you got the script like moments before the audition, right?
Yeah, like about an hour or two, right before the audition. For the first audition, I'm like, oh, this is Lethal Weapon. I did my research. I watched an episode or two. I was like, oh, this is a cool show. And I went in there. I was like, oh, I left there. I was like, I did pretty good, you know. Let's see what happens. And the day that I picked my brother up from LAX, from Chicago, well, he flew in from Chicago. I picked him up at LAX. I got a phone call from my manager like, Elizabeth Barnes wants to see you again. I'm like, no way. I'm like, when does she want to see me? She's like, in like an hour. I'm like, in an hour? What? My brother and I, we were driving to the beach in Malibu. So we took a few photos and I'm like, bro, I need your help. I got to go over these lines. I got to get to this audition. Yeah. We were in Malibu. I had to go way to Burbank in a matter of like 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm like, bro, just read out the lines loud to me. So we kept going back and forth. By the time I got to the audition, I memorized it.
Nice.
And I went in there. I was like, man, I got this. I went in there. I did my thing. And afterwards, it was this like weird silence. It was just a silence. And she just looked at me. Elizabeth Barnes looked at me just like, yep. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I walked out like, yep. Yep. Let's get it.
Yep. That's awesome. What's a trick that you do for memorizing lines? Is it just kind of like a repetitive thing for you, or is it something you look for in the actual script?
Repetition.
Yeah.
Because once you have it up here, I feel like you can really be more present with what's happening in the scene.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about the lines, you're not present. You already took yourself out the scene. You know?
What do I say here?
Yeah, right. What am I supposed to be doing?
All right. What's one of your favorite words?
Believe. Passionate.
Yeah.
Memorable.
With least favorite word?
Hate. Dishonest. Betrayal.
Nice. Okay. And what's something that turns you on?
Helping other people.
How about something that turns you off?
Egotistical people that talk about themselves day in, day out. No matter what they're going through, they always make it about them. Oh. That turns me so
Don't
off.
you hate that?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just amazing. I don't know what to say. No.
Right.
What's a sound or noise that you love?
That's a good one. I love when birds chirp in the morning.
Oh, wow.
It's just music to my ears.
That's
like you
adorable.
could wake up to that, not wake up
Yeah.
to like a construction truck, like backing up. Beep, beep.
Right.
You're like, bro, I cannot sleep.
Or
in this.
or a street cleaning. Yes, LA. Well, then you answer my next question: the sound and noise you hate.
When a dog won't stop barking and you're trying to get some sleep, or you hungover or something.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Your favorite cuss word?
Can I say it?
By all means.
Don't judge me, bitch.
That's your favorite one? Okay. It's a good closer on things.
Yeah.
Shut up, bitch. Like, you know what I mean?
See how
It's
it
a
all
good
works.
closer. What profession other than your own would you like to participate in?
I always wanted to be a zookeeper.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cause I'm like, dang, these animals going through a lot. You know, I want to be like their therapist in a way. Like, just talk to me. Come over here. Just sit down.
The big old lion. Just come talk to me.
Right.
Pissed off
You
because
won't
he had
eat me,
to eat. Right. What profession would you not want to do?
Be a garbage man. I would not want to smell the trash, smell like trash. I commend those
Yeah.
people, like, because the garbage, it has to be taken out. So
I mean, yeah, it has to be taken out. I mean, just like Denzel Washington's character on Fences, you know, it's just interesting. Like, how they come home, you know, to their wife or their family smelling like that? It's like, baby, go take a shower real quick. I don't want to touch you.
like, I love you and all, but go ahead, wash your body real quick.
Right. So if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you?
You've done well, my child.
Love it. And for anyone out there who is an inspiring actor, inspiring artist, what's something you would say to them right now to keep them going, motivate them, and inspire them?
Be receptive to the no's. Instead of being discouraged by the no's, just know that the more no's you hear, the bigger the yes will be when you finally hear it. I've heard a couple hundred no's before Lethal Weapon. And I was like, man, is this really for me? But I was like, I believe in myself, right? And I was like, yep. So I was like, you got the it factor. I'm like, yep. I'm like, so what's stopping you? I feel like sometimes us as actors, we get in our own way. The way is already laid out for us. God's like, all you got to do is just, you know, go here, give your best, do what you do best.
Right.
Be natural with it. When you try to rush or force things, it doesn't work out for your benefit because it's not in God's plan.
Yeah.
But the second you make it about creating memorable work, you will be remembered.
All right, I'm out of here now. You hit it on the head. What's next for you, Omari? You have any works coming up, and or anything that you're producing? I know you're working on a few things here.
I have several projects in the works. I also have my film close to my heart. It's called Deep. And it's about my backstory. It's about a story about a kid who loses his mom at an early age. His father gets remarried to the evil stepmom. And on his journey, he dibbles and dabs in drugs. And he tries to find ways to fill those voids. And so we see him evolve within his journey. And that's my main focus at the moment. And I want to shoot in Chicago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let me know. I'll be there.
For sure.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here in the Black Actors Studio. Omari Washington, tell everyone where they can find you.
You guys can find me on Facebook. My first name is Omari, and then last name Washington. You can find me on Instagram, Omari Washington, all lower caps, one line. You can find me on Twitter, Omari Winner, the number 1. And you can find me on IMDb, Omari Washington. On YouTube, I have a YouTube channel set up.
Nice.
And I believe that's it. Oh,
That's it.
and my website, omariwashington.com.
Can't forget the website.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know, right? Worked so hard on it. I worked so hard.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm your boy, Danny Royce, here inside the Black Actors Studio. Happy Valentine's Day, and we'll see you next time.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.